Tell them that something great is happening this evening. Good evening, everyone. It is so good to have you joining us this evening. Welcome to day 8 of the 12 days of Teachmas. It has been an exciting ride so far, and I am so excited about the progress that we're making. And I almost cannot believe that it's day 8 already. Are you sure we're not going to extend this to like maybe 20 days of Teachmas or something at this rate? Welcome, everyone, and please, while we're waiting to start, I would like you to please share with your friends, share the link to the meeting with your friends, your teacher friends. We're going to be touching on something that is very important this evening. A wise man once said that creativity is seeing what others see and thinking what no one else ever thought. I'll take that again. Creativity is seeing what others see and thinking what no one else ever thought. That was by Albert Einstein. Now, guys, I believe that as teachers, we have a whole lot to do with helping our young learners or older learners, whatever category your learners fall into, to be able to see beyond what others can see, to be able to think outside the box. And so this evening, we're going to be learning from one of the best educators that I know. I've worked with her personally, and I know that this person has a heart for the job and she does it wholeheartedly. She does it with all that she has, and she does it excellently as well. And she's going to be sharing with us tips, strategies that we can use to foster creativity in our classrooms. You would agree with me that a child who will thrive in the world of work must be someone that is creative. So, how do we ensure that we're raising children, we're raising learners who will grow into people that can think outside the box? That's why we're here tonight. That's why we're having this conversation. I know that you all are used to me reading out the profile of the guest and then they will come up afterwards. But we're going to be doing things a little bit differently tonight. I'm just going to ask um, us to try and figure out facts and things that are not true about this person tonight. So you're going to be seeing on your screen now some statements. So you have to figure out which one is true about our speaker for tonight and which one is not really true. So let's pay
Can you see
attention.
the screen? Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Ada. Can you see anything on my screen, Christiana? Thank you so much.
It's coming up, I guess, but I can just see a blank screen. Maybe someone else can check on their end.
Okay, so let me stop
I
and
can
try
see that
again.
you're presenting. All right.
I'll try that again. Okay, good evening, everyone. And like she said, we're trying to do things a bit different today. I also want to appreciate everyone for coming in this evening. So yeah, I have a little game we're gonna play, and it's titled drum roll. Two truths and one lie. So let's try to find out the lie and the truth. Can you see this now? Is it glaring? Is it visible now?
Clear.
All right,
It's
that's fine. So
visible.
I'm gonna
Yes, we can see
read.
it.
I once had an allergic reaction after eating snail. I served at St. Nicholas College, formerly owned by Emeka Ike. I do not sleep the night before any of my trips. So let's try and figure this out. You can raise your hand up. I know Christiana will call you up and you can try. Let's make this as interactive as possible and let's see how we can set the ball rolling.
Okay, guys, you can type out the one that you think is not correct. Oh, okay, we have someone raising a hand.
All
Lajon,
right.
please, let's have you.
Okay, so I guess I once had an allergy reaction after eating snail.
Is what the truth or the lie?
The lie.
Hmm. Please, what's your name again? Sorry, I didn't get that.
Ladun.
Okay, thank you. Somebody else. Let's see. Who
You
else
can
wants
also
to?
make use of the chat. Okay, someone just said three is true. That's Nere Onaiwu. Hi, Mrs. Onaiwu. Good evening. Then Jide Agbasimalo. Hi, Mrs. Agbasimalo also said that the allergic reaction is a lie. Okay, then James
All right.
Olorundare says one and two is correct, but three is false.
Hmm. Okay, so do I reveal the truth
Please do.
and the lie?
I think
All right.
I think
So,
two is.
sorry, say that again.
I was going to say that I think two is not correct because I think Emeka Ike is an actor. I'm
He
not
is,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
Okay.
so
so let me just make this contribution. One and three are the truth, and number two is a lie.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm going to reveal my answer now. Can I reveal? Can I reveal? Now, if you
please
said,
go ahead.
I'm now Frankie Doho, if you said that, we're going to reveal the lie. If you said that I do not sleep at night before any of my trips is a lie, right? Then that is not true. So that's incorrect. I don't sleep at night. If I travel, I don't sleep
Wow.
at night. Yeah. So if you said that I served at St. Nicholas College, formerly owned by Emeka Ike, is the lie, then I think you are incorrect. The correct lie. The correct
Oh.
lie. Imagine the correct lie. The correct lie is that I once had an allergic. I don't have it. I eat snail very well. So yeah, I served at St. Nicholas College.
Yay.
Yes, I served in that school in Lagos.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't sleep at night. So that's me. Thank
Wow.
you so much. Over to you, Tiana.
Wow, thank you for that. Amazing. I never knew that the Nollywood actor also owns. Oh, you said formerly owned, so
Formally,
he no
yeah.
longer owns the school.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. So I've learned one thing today, in addition to learning facts about you. All right, everyone, the voice and the face that you can see that was interacting with you just now is that of Adaku Okafor. She is currently serving as a year group head and class teacher at Meadowhall Education, where she has been dedicated to shaping young minds since April 2014. In addition to this, she plays a critical role in ensuring the safety and well being of children and young people within the school in her capacity as the designated safeguarding lead. With almost 10 years of experience in education, Adaku brings a wealth of knowledge and passion to her role and has proven to be a committed and influential educator, contributing to the development and growth of our students. Everyone, please can you help me love upon Adaku Okafor in the comment section? Let's have, come on, come on. I love the emojis. Thank you. I love the
Thank you.
energy. Fantastic.
Thank you,
Okay,
guys.
so I have personally worked with Mrs. Okafor. That's what I call her. And I can tell you that she's one person that I know that has a heart for the job. Like she does it with all her heart. She does it with all her spirit, soul, and body. And she's excellent. I particular I'm particularly a sucker for excellence. Is that a right statement? I'll figure it out later. But I love it when I see people who put their heart into what they do and they do it really, really well. So thank you, Mrs. Okafor, for honoring our invitation this evening. It is so good to have you here.
Again, again, thank
Yes,
you.
again. Okay, one more thing I have to say. When I started Teachers Lounge this year, she was one of those people that I think she was one of the first person I
Yeah,
called,
yeah,
told
we're the
her, I
first
have
year.
this vision, I have this, I want to do this, I want to do that. You're going to come on as a guest for the first, for Tales from the Classroom. And so she was
Mm-hmm.
my first ever guest on
Yes, I
Tales from the
was.
Classroom. Please, can you celebrate her? She did not say, "Oh, you're just starting." Thank you so much. You know I
Thank
love you
you.
now. Thank
Yeah,
you,
I
thank
love
you.
you
I
too. Thank
appreciate you,
you.
Mrs.
Yeah, and well,
Okafor.
well
I
done.
appreciate you.
Great job. Yeah.
Okay, let's get into the discussion for today. I know
Yeah.
that teachers know that it's not just English. We're not just trying to sound funky when we
Mhm.
say that for a learner to thrive in the world of work, they would need to be able to collaborate, communicate, think critically, and then one other skill that they must possess is creativity. So please talk to us about this creativity thing. Is it that they just wanted us to, start using those CC words like creativity, collaboration, communication? Is what is it about creativity and why is it important for our learners?
All right. Thank you so much. And like you mentioned, okay, we're not just here to say, oh, let's speak all the English. We're trying to make sure that these young minds that we're grooming, these children who we're grooming and we're, trying to raise, actually fit into the society that they are made for. It's not just about the now, it's about where they are going to in the future. And then so we also need to look at how we can make their minds creative. So creativity is not something that just comes or falls out of the tree or falls down from the tree and we're all like, oh, be creative, be creative. No, it's not just vague. It's actually more practical than we can even imagine. Okay, so we're asking ourselves why? Why should I even? Why is this creativity even important? Why should I teach children how to be creative? Okay, creativity is something that sparks ideas, it brings solutions, it leads to innovation. So I was even thinking about different words, that I can use for innovation, creativity. If you think of anyone, you can type that out in the chat as well. I like to be, as interactive as possible. Different things came into my mind. Words like innovation, words like talent, words like an active mind, vast thinking, being a thinker, a deep thinker, ingenious, having to do a lot of research, yearning for knowledge, yearning, being curious. I think that word curious also struck out. So you also mentioned creative thinking. Yeah, so that's why we also try to make sure that creativity matters. You're encouraging creativity in the class, helping children to think analytically, think outside the box, not just within or concealing them or making them to just fit into a corner. No, the world is way more than that. Also, creativity helps to engage the children. So if you notice, imagine that you just step into a classroom, for example. Oh, better than the ordinary. Thank you so much. Well done. And imagine just stepping into the classroom, for example, and your children already have the three truths and one lie about you, the teacher in the classroom. Okay, you're already getting them thinking already. They're like, okay, okay, their minds are already, and that makes them to be engaged, because you won't want to have a classroom where children just come and sit and they're like, okay, what again? So that's actually what we're just going to be discussing today, and what why it's important, why it matters. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So from what you've said already, I hope we're learning. I'm already picking words that I can use in place of creativity. And one benefits that you've talked about when teachers do this is that you can drive engagement. Look at
Mm,
what you just did with us this evening. So that's an example of what we can do in the classroom, right? So I'd like you to
yeah.
please talk to us more about the benefits of fostering creativity in the classroom.
Creativity. Okay, so what we just did, I'll just use the example we just did. What did we just do? We collaborated. There was a lot of teamwork going on, right? We're engaged. So let's even start with the engagement. Creativity engages the children, it engages the minds of the learners. They're not just there by themselves, right? Their minds are engaged. And that's what we're trying to make sure that we raise children that are thinkers, children that would think about creative solutions. Okay, you're trying to say, okay, there's a problem in the society, how can we come up with a solution? These children start to think about solutions because they've already been trained in that aspect. It also fosters teamwork. So you put the children in groups, and then you let them, come up with a solution like we mentioned. It's not just about putting children in a group. I always say that anytime I do a group activity, for example, and I say to the children, work in groups, those ones who are very quiet and reserved, that's their best bet to escape. They just sit down there and they're just being quiet, right? But then when you engage each of them and then you tell them, oh, you're writing, you would draw, you would pick out the points and you would present, right? Once you give each of them tasks, they know that I'm not here to just sit and listen. I have to be part of the team. I have to collaborate. And there are children also on the other extreme who would want to be the bosses. They want to lord over the team. And they're like, so for those ones, you know them. So the knowledge of the learners is also very important. So you know those ones, and then you try to like pipe them down and then give them other responsibilities. So children, creativity encourages collaboration, encourages teamwork. It also allows the children to express themselves, right? So we talked about the child, the learner who is always quiet and doesn't want to, think or just wants to be there. Okay, it allows them to imagine, think, giving a child an opportunity to come up with a solution, and that child knows that, oh, whatever idea I bring up, even if I tell the child no answer is wrong, that sometimes I also don't know the answer, okay, but I want you to say something, okay? So when you create that environment, the children are self-expressive. They know that they are safe in that learning environment, and they know that whatever way whatever solution they come up with, whatever learning methods they have, it will be well expressed, right? They can express themselves in a way that they would not be mocked or bullied or laughed at, or whatever like that. So creativity also promotes out of the box thinking. We talked about that already. It brings them out of their comfort zones. It helps them to explore different methods, or looking for different solutions out of their comfort zone. It helps the children with retention. Now we'll look at, I'm sure somebody will never ever forget that I don't sleep before packing. I'm sure somebody will never forget that I don't sleep before, the night before my travel. So those kind of things help the children keep information, retain information. Those activities, we'll look at a lot of activities later, that when you engage the children in these activities, right, it would stay. So think of role play, for example. A child comes out and plays the role of Mary. If you're looking at a nativity story, that child will never forget that story, you know. So that also helps. Those are a few of the benefits of or creativity, or making sure that your learning environment is creative, right?
Fantastic. So from what you've said so far, you've mentioned things that I think every healthy child should be groomed into: being able to think outside the box, being able to
Mhm.
work together with other people, being able to retain information, and all of this comes just by someone deciding that I'm not just going to do the norm, I'm not just going to do the
Yeah.
ordinary. I'm
Ordinary.
also, because even the teacher has to be creative for you
Of
to foster
course. Of course.
creativity in other, in
That's a
your
very
learners.
important point. Yes, sure.
Yes. So, and in our audience tonight, we have a lot of adult learners. And you know, adult learners, they don't just want you to come and bombard them with information. They want to learn for the sake of application. How can this improve my work?
Yeah.
How will this help me to run my classroom differently next term? That's what
Mm-hmm.
they're thinking. So please,
Yeah.
can you share some practical tips and strategies that teachers can imbibe to
Yeah.
foster creativity in their classrooms?
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So, like I mentioned earlier, I'll list a few that I have used personally. Okay. And like you said, we have a large crowd of different learners. So, you mustn't be a teacher to apply these tools. It's just a way of engaging your child or any, young adult you meet, anywhere. One of the things that children enjoy the most is outdoor learning. Hmm. Imagine taking a child out, even adults like to change environment once in a while. So imagine taking the learning out of the classroom. There was a time that we were learning about, we're teaching creative writing, right? And we're doing instructional texts. And then we took the children outside and they planted bean seeds. So not only are you cross curricular, linking different things like literacy and science, but that was the activity, that was their classwork. And once they were done, we took pictures, and that was their classwork for that day. So there was no, the next day we now wrote out all the steps, all that we did. We now wrote it out. Sometimes we teach creative writing for 2 weeks, the particular genre, if it's instructional text. So taking that learning outside made the children, when they were now writing the steps, they didn't, we talked about retention. They remembered
Yes.
everything and how they did it
Mm-hmm.
because we had read the text in comprehension. We had read the text even before we went out, and then we went out again, and they were so excited,
Mm-hmm.
linking. And then later
Yeah.
on, when we did science, later on in science, we had plants, part of a plant, and we just told them, remember your creative writing and all that. So taking it out of the classroom, outdoor learning actually helps the children. And then while you're in the park with your child, for example, why not explore nature, talk about things around? Like I said, it's not just limited to teachers because of the environment. Now, we do a lot of project-based learning in my school. So teaching the children, how to solve a problem in the society. Yesterday I joined when Mr. Kushman was talking about STEAM, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of linked. Like everything he was saying, I was thinking, it just flowed down, and there's actually a
I
flow.
wanted to get into it as well. That is like we're layering on what we
Yeah,
discussed yesterday
yeah,
today.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So everything he was saying, I was like, okay, so this is just, I'm just going to build up actually. So if you've been following this, just know that, it's great, it's fantastic. So project-based learning, I know he mentioned a lot of things that he tells his children to think of a problem in the society and how can we solve this. So project-based learning allows the children to open up their minds, to think of different things. Okay, there's a problem of water. I know last time we did, okay, how we can filter water, or he talked about the SDG goals as well. So our project in schools is also tailored towards the SDG goals. So we're looking at no poverty. So places that they don't have water, for example, how can I make sure that they have good water? I remember when my daughter did her project on housing and she picked Makoko environment. So today, in fact, today we passed third main and she's like, have we gotten to Makoko? So she still remembers she made a floating house. We put plastic under and we put it on water and actually floated. She was so excited. So she was like, using recyclables as well. It opened up their mind. She learned about other communities, not just her local community, other places that these solutions have been found. So she used that as well when she was doing her project. So project based, like I said, it expands their knowledge. It helps them in thinking vast. It helps them to be solution providers. She still remembers that Hamakoko project still wherever, whenever. So also another method you can use in your classroom is to integrate other things like arts, like drawing. I know a teacher who always would always tell the children to draw after comprehension. And I found that amazing. After each text, after the children answer the question, she'll tell them to draw maybe the character or something. And imagine flipping through a comprehension text and you're seeing pictures. It's not just creative writing that they're drawing, you're seeing pictures in a comprehension book, inculcating art into your teaching is amazing. You could do, there are different forms of art. It could be dance, it could be role play, it could be drama, it could be music, it could be, as a starter, you sing a song, and yeah, they're very well engaged. Using open-ended questions, that works a lot for me. I realized that children, even I've tried to move away from those yes or no answers, right? And open-ended questions opens up their minds. It helps them to think. It helps them to look at the question from a different angle. So imagine asking a child, instead of saying how was your day, and child says fine, we're like, okay, what was interesting about school today? And the child starts to open up their minds. That was I asked my daughter. I'm like, okay, what didn't you like about school today? And she goes on and on. What was interesting about school today? And she goes on and tells me a lot. Rather than saying, how was school? Fine. And that conversation ends. Okay. When you ask open-ended questions, it helps them to think, to speak up, to express themselves. Remember, we talked about self-expression, right? It helps them to express themselves, and then you see those details of either things you've missed or things you've discovered about the child. So let me give you examples of open-ended questions. What could happen if you're reading a book and you ask the child, okay, what could happen if, or you're doing a science project, for example, and you're like, what could happen if I don't put on my safety goggles? What could happen if, okay, how can we, tell me more about, in what way would we have, what could you do about, why do you think? We even tell the children, imagine you were the author of this book. How else would the story have ended? And they start to tell you, or you tell them, oh, what other character would you have introduced in this story? And they start to give you like ideas that you in fact, I watched a reel recently on Instagram, and then they asked a set of adults, what part of your body would you change? Right? And they went on, I changed my nose, I changed my, and they asked another set of children, what part of your body would you change? One person said, I like to have wings. Another person said, I like to have shark mouth, a shark, a mouth of a shark. Another person said, they would like to, but you could see the way they were thinking, how their thinking is different from ours, right? And a child would have a reason for saying, I want to have wings. I mean, I want to fly. Why am I walking or something? I want to have a mouth like a shark, just look different and unique. So you can see the way their minds are already. And then we can't stick to the regular, how we were before, how we were brought up. So you need to, explore more about them, connect to the real world, look at real life solutions, use technology. Please and please use technology. We can't overemphasize the use of technology. That's why I said, like yesterday's STEAM, and he broke down what STEAM means, and then T is for technology. Technology has made, he said, is making life easier. That's just what technology is, and that's it. Mausa was saying recently that somebody said anything you said, need to copy it. Yes, you've made your life easier, and then build on it. Somebody else should see it. You move on. Teach it, sell your market, use technology, right? Create a post. Imagine giving children an assignment, for example, and saying, okay, you've learned Paint or Google Paint or something. And I remember we did for last year's International Day of the Girl Child, we told the children to create a poster depicting International Day of the Girl Child using any of the ICT tools that they had taught them, either Scratch or Paint or something. And the children came up with innovative ways of doing that. Also reflect. When you reflect, you give the children opportunities to think about their thinking. Okay, think about what could I have done better. Guys, tell my I always use my daughter as an example because I've learned a lot from her, and I'm using her to learn as well. There was something we did. So the first time I taught in her class in children's church, right? That is ages 6 to 7. The first time I taught in her class, when we're going home, I told her, I asked her, I'm like, how was it today? And she said, oh, it was fine. I'm like, hey, which one is it was fine? I'm like, okay, was it good, or was it just there? Was it just? She said, it was good. It was good. And I'm like, okay, what could I have done better? What could I have done better? Do you know what she said? She said, well, you were talking to us like we were babies. Hey, God. I said, see my life in the general public.
What?
So you're talking to us like we're babies. So I now related it. I'm like, okay, I teach 5 to 6 year olds, right? There's a lot of demonstration. You use your tone, your intonation has to go up there. So I guess when I was maybe doing Bible reading and I was expressing myself, I'm like going there. So you're talking to us like we're baby. I'm like, okay. I just let that sink in, right? So and now even should be laughing at me. Just laugh, go on. So the next day in church, I now spoke to the teacher. I work with her, right? So I spoke to her and I said to her, that's what my daughter said to me, like she now explained to me, she said, these children are, even though they're 6 turning 7, right? There are some children who are 7 turning 8. Do you understand? So it's quite their age ranges, and of course I teach 5 to 6 year olds. So on that Sunday, I had to adjust myself. I had to be a bit more serious. I was so playful and all that because they have to play. So
You
and
have
then
to
now
comport yourself
I had to come on.
as a
Over
person
there.
talking to adults.
I'm like, what is all this? This is punishment for me. Please let me do myself. So on our way home, I asked again, okay, how did today go? Was it better than? She said, oh yeah, it was better. Like the way she gave me so she gives me feedback, and I appreciate that. Like she gives me feedback. Something again happened. We did had a nativity play in church. She was Mary. I was coordinating it and all that. On our way home, I asked again, how did it go? How did you feel? What could we have done better? This one is a we thing now because we're in this together. I said, what could we have done better? And she said, the narrators were just bland, that they were just reading, blah, 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 blah. That they were not expressive, they were not undulating, their voices were just bland. And then sometimes they that were on stage couldn't hear them. I now agreed with her. I told her that that's true. That was why towards the end I had to read the last line of the narrator so that we could all, so just getting them to reflect. Do you understand? I know someone who would always say, I know a teacher, Mr. Uche, he says that at the end of the session, he would ask the children, how did I do? How did I fare as your teacher? Right? They would have like a heart-to-heart talk, and then they'll be honest with him. Like he would, and you're not taking these things personal because I mean it's for your own good, right? So if you teach the children to reflect like that, they too would reflect about their own learning. Okay. One of the targets when I was, in our what's it called reports this term was self-correcting, like the children being able to self-correct. And I realized that not all of them were able to attain that high. Well, we're just in first term, so I just gave them the benefit of the doubt. But then I realized that I need to also, what's it called? I need to also model how to self-reflect. Okay, and that's where we as teachers would have to model creativity to the children. It's not just about saying it. You must be creative. How am I being creative? Okay, so teach the children how to be creative. You yourself be creative in your own thinking, in your own ways of reasoning as well. So when you teach the children to reflect and self-correct, they would also learn. It's a skill, it's a teachable skill. And lastly, planning. You must plan. So I guess we'll talk about that a bit more later. Yeah, so I think
Wow,
that those are what we
amazing.
can.
Amazing. You've
What
shared
I've
so
used.
many practical strategies already. I'm going to just put a pause there. I want everybody, wow, people are even clapping and celebrating you already.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much,
Yeah,
everyone, for actively engaging. And thank you, Mrs. Okafor, for all that you've shared with us so
yeah,
far.
thank you.
Now, if you just joined us, or if you joined us while she was talking, the voice at the beautiful face you've been seeing belongs to Adaku Okafor. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in zoology from the University of Jos, Nigeria, and a postgraduate diploma in education from the Meadowhall College of Education. She continues to make a positive impact in the field of education, blending her academic background with a commitment to nurturing the next generation. Thank you so much, Mrs. Okafor, for all that you've shared so far. And everyone, just to show that you have been following her closely, I want everyone to go into the comment section and type in one strategy for fostering collaboration, creativity, I meant to say, fostering creativity in your classroom that you've learned today. And while we're doing that, she talked about reflection. The teacher must also be able to reflect. And that's why we're giving away free copies of the reflection journal for teachers this period. To qualify, all you need to do is go to our social media handle on Instagram at Teachers Lounge NG and share your key takeaways from these sessions with us. At the end of the 12 days of Teachmas, the comments rather, with the highest likes will get a free copy of the reflective journal for teachers. Please note that the shipping cost will be on you. The books are in Lagos, Nigeria, and then you would have to pay for it to be shipped to your location. Thank you so much, everyone. So I'm waiting for the strategies. Which strategy are you going home with? Which one are you going with? I see Mrs. Onaiwu says, well done, Adaku. Yes, so she has really done a great job so far. So I'm waiting. Fantastic. I'm just going to say EA says feedback from the children. She said, I would definitely be gunning for this now. Thanks, Adaku. So yes, she's going to be asking or taking feedback from our learners more often. Awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to ask, excuse me. Thank you. Someone is presenting. I want to believe. Just a moment. Okay, sorted. All right. So I was going to ask, I want to believe that it's not always a smooth run. If you choose that, I'm not just going to be that teacher that will just come into the classroom and say, today we're learning about adjectives, or today we're writing instructional texts, because it takes a lot of effort for you to take the children out of the classroom and say, okay, before we even write our text, let's go and plant seedlings so that you can see how it is done. So, what are the challenges that teachers may encounter while trying to foster creativity in their classrooms, and how can they surmount these challenges?
Okay. Now, like you mentioned, it's actually not easy, this teaching. Sometimes you'd have to, drag yourself or put yourself in the right frame of mind. But then again, when you look at your learners and you look at, what the end, it says, look at the end result right from the beginning. What do you want to achieve? You will just pick up yourself and then do whatever it takes to ensure that learning goes on and the children are creative as much as possible. But yeah, you're faced with a lot of challenges and different things that you have to cope with. But like I mentioned earlier, it's all in the planning process, right? But let's even see how we can, what are some of those challenges. Sometimes you realize that your class is a diverse class. You have many learners, right? So you have to accommodate all the learners. So imagine coming to your class every day and then all they see on the board is two truths and one lie about Miss Okafor every day. Two truths and one underline. I'm like, what's going on here? Okay, so you have to accommodate all the learners. There's some who are very visual, There's some who would need to have to hear the sound of music. They like to dance, to move around. There's some who would want to be engaged with hands-on activities. We need to go out and plant and do all that. So as much as possible, you're incorporating all these learners into your planning process. Okay, so that's one of it. Another thing may be your class size. Okay, so you have, okay, for example, let me give the example of the one we had to plant, right? We all went out as a year group, but then we now realize, okay, where do we use? You have to think about all those things and plan as well. So we use the tract, and one class was over there. We just divided ourselves, and then we now took it in bits, in batches. We paired the children rather than say, okay, everybody gather around, we're going to plant beans today, and everybody's, no, so that the children are also engaged. We pick them in twos, in pairs, so that they can also learn from each other. That collaboration as well must be there. So yeah, sometimes the class size may be a challenge. You also, you need to look at resources. There's some schools who do not have adequate resources, even the schools that have to. Most times you see teachers going out of their way to provide. Most times we go out of our way, in fact, all of the time, to make sure that all these resources are made available for the children. For the children. Yes, you can type in your questions in the chat. Okay, you're saying that. So we have limited resources. So imagine a school where they don't have those resources. What would they now? What would they do? So those are some of the challenges that teachers face. Limited resources. Most times the time. I say it a lot. One of my bosses always says that teachers like to talk a lot. We like to talk. We like to talk. We like to. So sometimes you realize that the time constraints to affect your teaching time. Okay, so that's why I also said that the day we planted, we didn't do any classwork. That was all we did. So rather than saying, okay, we will plant today, when they come back to class, you now have to write what you no, you have to now write all you plan. So stretch the lesson. Okay, let that just be because of time. And then that planting too will take a lot of time as well. We notice that it dragged into the next lesson. So you have to factor in those things and know how to adjust your lesson to accommodate time. We talked about technology. Yeah, technology can be our friend. It can also be our foe. We let it be. So technology too could limit us. Imagine you're teaching the children and you're using so there's no internet, the light goes off, or it's not working at all. Technology could limit as our use of the children. Engaging the children. So sometimes children may get distracted, easily distracted from your objective. Okay, they're carried away with the play. They're carried away with the singing. So when my children are singing and dancing in class, I always like to give a rule first. Stand behind your chair. Please don't move away from your chair. Don't get distracted. Just stay there and be dancing and be moving around. Except we have to move, of course. Maybe we're looking at information text and looked at how a tiger prowls and pounces on the children. So we all proud. Everybody was prowling along the class, and we said, "Okay, now pounce and pounce." Okay, so yeah, so that they don't get distracted. So some children, they will be prowling. They will prowl and reach the door and be prowling and prowling and bouncing. The bouncing, they will jump on themselves and do all. Your class will now become chaotic. Imagine you have an observation. Although yeah, it's interesting, like to see them, but for you as a teacher, like, okay, this class, I need this class to be coordinated. Can you guys just, so sometimes children get carried away with those activities and they just want to play. They just want to dance, they just want to sing. They just, or imagine you're using a multimedia way of engaging the children, making your class creative, and then they just get carried away and then do other things. You maybe imagine you gave a project and it's okay, create a poster or do something with technology. And you know how children are, they're on the internet and they're getting distracted. That may just veer them off the focus or the targets. Okay. Yeah, teacher gets burnt out. We know that already. Teachers get tired, but we just encourage ourselves. And then also the last thing I like about would be professional development opportunities. Sometimes these are not regularly available, and even if they're available, sometimes they're expensive. But then, like I said, when I look at challenges, I also try to balance it off with possible solutions, right? So even if you miss taking the course without paying yet, okay, there's some free courses you can take, but it's where you need the certificate that you can now do that. Or just getting free trainings online, attending webinars like this is free. You're doing a great job, Tiana. I mean, like gathering teachers together, and these are key areas that are very important teaching in education. And imagine teachers come as a problem or a challenge with.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Okafor. So I was going to ask, we want to foster collaboration, but how do we ensure that we're not getting in the way of the children actually? How am I saying collaboration again and again? I meant to say creativity, but how do we ensure that we don't get in the way of their, let me say, of their critical thinking? Say we give them a task, how do we ensure that we actually allow them go through the process and not maybe now take charge or just get in the way of their learning?
Hmm. Okay, so one thing that I've learned, right, is that sometimes we want the children to say what we want to hear so that your work is easy and you are just out of the way. Sometimes we even direct them towards that. You're asking a question and you now go, how did the boy feel? Was he happy or sad? I mean, you're already giving two options. You give an open-ended question with a close-ended. Do you understand? So yeah, we just want to get it over and done with sometimes, right? Just say what I want to hear, just say it and let's be going, right? But then again, I think one of the things we need to do is just give them some time, some thinking time. Mm. I remember I was in a training where they talked about thinking time, and I asked, please, how much of thinking time do I need to give this child? Because I mean, there's a lot on our plates. Teachers are always there's a lot to do. So, like, how much thinking time? And let's assume that a child is thinking. So, do we keep waiting for that child to think? We all pause our class, and the solution that was provided that said, okay, we had a discussion. Somebody was like, okay, take 2 minutes or maybe a minute, and then say, okay, I'll get back to you. Just keep thinking. I'll get back to you, and then let's move on. But please actually ensure that you actually get back to that child and just hear the child out. Okay, so let's ensure that the children have enough time to think and not just rushing them or lording over them and then getting answers that you want to hear as a teacher. And how to do that also would we also talked about open-ended questions. Try to ask open-ended questions. Also try to avoid your lessons to be too in a certain way, maybe too structured. Try to vary your lessons, okay? That's where the creativity also comes in. So imagine today, just imagine that your class is arranged in a certain way today, and then they come tomorrow, and then I know you used to do that. You just change the seating arrangement of the children. They're like wondering, okay, what's going on today? You've already gotten them into the mood for learning that particular day. So that's also a way that you can help them, so that it's not just about them. Allow them to also make their mistakes. I'd say to the children too that Mr. Kafford doesn't know everything, right? And then sometimes when I can't remember what happened recently, my daughter said to me, but mommy, but you said, I'm like, okay, I forgot, sorry. Apologize, allow them to make mistakes. I also let them know that mistakes are allowed, right? So how would we even learn? So the person who created electricity failed how many times? And in the end, he was successful, right? So yeah, allow them to make their mistakes, give room for correction, give room for them to express themselves, model it as well, model it. We need to ensure that we demonstrate and share our own reasoning processes. So it's called, so you can think aloud. Hmm. So let them hear your thoughts as well. Okay. And that's how you can model what's it called? Not just letting them speak what you want them to, giving them room to model your own thinking, model your own creativity, so that they can also see that, okay, this my teacher also did it like this. She failed, she came back this way, and she got it right in the end. Okay, so I think those are ways that we can help achieve that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That was well thought out and well explained. I got everything you said. So my final question would be, how can we structure our feedback to our learners such that it will now still come back towards helping them to be more creative? How do we give feedback?
Okay, so um even as adults, right, we know that we always don't like feedback sometimes, because feedback could hurt, um, feedback could push us back or just be discouraging sometimes. So in school, right, we tend to give constructive feedback to the children. And how do we do that? So for example, I'm marking a child's notes and I write a comment for the child. We've been taught and trained not to just always say well done, good job, excellent job. And teachers, we can do that a lot. Let me not even lie. Like you just what am I writing? So sometimes so you can't always sustain that, right? But then yeah, once in a while you can just do the well done thing. So when we give feedback to a child, you have to say, if you're saying well done, say the thing you are commending that child for, right? You need the child to work on, okay, keep practicing. What is the child practicing? Okay. So you have to be specific, okay, with your, I learned that earlier in teaching with giving instructions for me. Then I'll just say, okay, let's all line up. Everybody rushes, right? But then you have to be specific with that instruction. Okay, boys, can we stand, tuck in your chair, line up nicely? Let's see if the girls will do that better. Okay, girls, you saw what so you have to be specific. Also with your feedback, you also need to be specific with the so that the child even knows. We're talking about reflection, right? So that when the child is reading your comment, the child reflects that, oh, okay, my teacher says I didn't put my full stop in the last. Okay, I have to try and make sure that as I'm writing now. But then again, you must model it. Or you must reason out loud, think out loud, so that when the child is doing it, child will do it better. So be specific with your feedback. Ensure that everything you're saying is timely. Then always start with the positives. Commend, sing. God, oh.
I've been trying not to laugh too much. Ngozi Abanov said, we write sing in the notebooks, even though we've not seen anything.
Oh my God. Yeah, actually, that's true. So, all right. So, still part of giving feedback, right? So, start with the positives. Like I said, oh, well done for. So I said to my child, okay, well done for writing neatly on the lines or following the handwriting lines. Let's try to punctuate our sentences properly next time. Even that one is very vague. Let's try to punctuate our sentence. What sentence are you punctuating? There are many punctuation marks. So there's speech marks, there's full stop, there's a question. So even that, you have to still break it down. Let's try to use our full stops at the end of each sentence and start your sentence with or remember that each sentence ends with a full stop and starts with a capital letter. Let's try to ensure it's a lot of writing, I will tell you. And we're not just writing anyhow. You have to write neatly so that the child can read what you're writing. So it's a lot of work, right? That's why you have to be intentional. You have to be deliberate. You have to just make up your mind. This teaching work, God knows, if you have not been called.
You
If you've not
cannot
been
can't.
called,
You
you
cannot can rather.
can't, please.
Your can
All
cannot
right.
can.
So also highlight areas of improvement, areas you want them to improve on. Like I said, your language must be clear, it must be specific. Then also provide action plans. Like just say, okay, can we do this next time? Let's practice this together. So sometimes when I write that, let's practice this together, I would ensure that I'll write something that we're practicing, even if the child is not there immediately. I just tend to write something so that when child comes back, you can see that, and then we now do it together so that I also don't forget. Like I said, There's actually a lot. So encourage the children to reflect on what they have done. So before we start the next task, right, we've been trained to say, okay, let's go back and read our comments. So we all say, let's go back and read the comments before we start so respond to your comments. So we encourage the children to also, it's interactive. So it's like you're writing them a letter and they're responding back to you. So they would respond to the comment before they start the day's work. Okay, so a child says, but for well, I teach years 1 and 2. I'd like somebody to tell me how it happens in the upper primary, how you respond, how they respond to your comments. Most times for us, it's just okay, Mr. Okafor, I will do that next time. Yes, Mr. Okafor. Thank you, Mr. Okafor. Ask just simple, straightforward answers, but we encourage them to even extend it. Okay, instead of just say okay, I will write neatly next time, something like that. So encourage that interaction so that you see that the children are also responding with you as you are responding as well. Yeah.
Thank you. I was going to say that, and some of them get creative and they draw emojis for you.
Hmm.
Yes.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Ngozi
that's nice.
Abanom says, in my class, we encourage a little bit of extended writing as a response so that it flows with the comments given.
Mhm. Okay,
What
that's
class
good.
do you take? Oh, okay. Nice to hear that. Obasheke Motoraya says, I have a confession, though. I think I'll just keep your confession, but good. That's why we're having this,
Yeah,
honestly. So
sure.
I'm just
Yeah.
going to read it out. It's nothing to be ashamed about. That's the essence of this. She says, I have a confession. I got to understand all the features of Google Meet and their usage through this Teach Mars training. Awesome. And yes, Ngozi from earlier says she teaches year
It is year
three.
3. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's also important, I think, for their own level, right? Since they do a lot of writing, she says it's extended writing, so they encourage them to write more. And imagine the stories you'll be reading afterwards. You get so, and it helps the children as well. So well
Yes.
done, Miss Abanu.
So no more sin teacher in teach maths. If you are, as long as you've been a part of this training, every spirit of sin, we take it
Amen.
out.
Amen.
No more sin, no. All right. So, Mrs. Okafor, thank you so
Yeah.
much. And if there's one thing that I think that I'm taking out of this, it is the fact that if you do not have it, you cannot give it. So we must always seek ways to improve ourselves as well, because the truth is that creativity is a thing of the mind. If you've not fed your mind so much, when you need ideas, you'll be starved of ideas. So you have to continually expose yourself to taking information such that when you need to draw out of that well, you will find that you have a well that is deep enough with reserves in it. And we have some reactions from the audience. um, Yompan Dariem, I hope I got that
Young
said.
pan.
Commend, Yonpan, thank you. Commend, recommend, commend. Well done, she gave an example, or he gave an example. Well done for completing your sentence. Remember to always start a sentence with capital and end with a full stop. And oh, your work was really neat today. Is this a good way to give feedback? Then the person goes further to say, I'm not a class teacher, but I do play therapy for children. And recently teaching school teachers to incorporate a lot of play to teaching. Well done, guys. So much to learn from all of you. Thank you, Yonpan. So what's your feedback? What do
Yeah,
you say to
actually
that?
it is. I love the comment part towards the end, right? I love the comment part because I would usually just do the comment recommend, right? But I like that. Oh, that was a really nice way to write today. That is an excellent way. It's good. So sorry.
Hello?
Can you hear
Yes,
me?
lost you
Yeah.
for a bit. I can hear you
Yes.
now.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Can I go on? Okay.
Yes, please.
All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you. So yeah. What was I saying? I lost my line of
Yonpan,
thoughts.
you were going to respond to Yonpan's comments about commend, recommend, comment. So you said
Yes. So I said
normally
yeah.
you just do commend and
Recommend. So yes, I said it's a good way to say that bit of the extra. You did a really nice job today, and it's really important, right? So that's what's a good way to ask teachers, and it's good that you're training teachers to do that. Okay, so that the children see, like we've listed different things, different in the what's it is really important, and that's very good so that the child can also see and know areas where he or she needs to improve upon. Then play is important too. Play is also important while teaching. I play a lot, like people know me, I play a lot. Even in my class I tell children that there's time for everything. So today, what now we're playing this time, we play a lot. They'll say, yes, we play. Okay, so yeah, when you incorporate play and learning, yeah, the children will do.
okay. Um, thank you so much, Adaku. Um, if there's anything I'm going to add to the lineup that we already have, that would be setting targets. So, if your learner has already accomplished the task, so say you have a learner and you don't see anything wrong with the work they've presented to you, you probably were teaching them how to calculate the area of a circle, and they've done that excellently. So you can say, well done, but this well done, Ifeanyi, you calculated the area of a circle without any errors. So let's move on to calculating the area of a triangle. So that way
Yes,
you've
yes,
already
yes.
set a target for that learner.
Right.
Okay.
That's true.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Mrs. Okafor, final words for teachers that are watching you right now and those that will watch the video afterwards.
All right. Final words. Children, students, young adults thrive with creativity, right? So when we started, we said that it's not just about the now, it's about the later, where they are going to. We don't just teach with the now in mind, we teach with, the end in mind. Like, where are they going to? What are you preparing these children for? So we need to know that they thrive with creativity. So why don't we just harness? Let's enjoy teaching and learning. Let the children enjoy coming to school. Let them provide them with activities that will boost engagement, that will help them to retain better, and that would help them, that will empower them to bring out their let their voices be heard. We always say that children's voice, the people's voice is very important. So create that environment. The word is safe. A child comes to school and feels safe. Oh, I can express myself in whatever way. I will not be criticized. I will not be condemned. I'm giving opportunities to think. I'm giving opportunities to be creative in my own little way. Okay, and teachers too. We can achieve a lot, okay, by modeling is very important. By modeling, we have created that impression in their minds also in learning. And let's try to also encourage creative thinking in all that we do, because when the children are creative, let's try and involve critical thinking, because when they're creative they will think critically as well, and both go hand in hand as 21st century skills. So teachers, you're doing a great job. Parents, you're doing a great job as well. Like we mentioned earlier, where there's a large crowd here, so we can incorporate all that we've learned even in our own personal lives with our children and those young adults we come across. So yeah, I think that'll be all.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mrs.
Yeah,
Okafor. Thank you. Such a delight to
thank you
be
so
hosting
much.
you again. And the
Yeah,
beautiful thing is, we started together earlier in the year, and it seems like
yeah,
we're rounding it off together as
Yeah,
well. Thank you so
that's
much for
true.
believing in me. Thank you for supporting me. I sincerely appreciate you. And
Yeah,
thank you, audience, for engaging with us. Thank you for sticking with us all through. Thank
yeah.
you for your
Thank
comments. Thank you for
you.
your feedback. That was really encouraging. And that brings us to the end of the seventh day of Teach Maths. Already, I'm like, now. See you tomorrow, everybody. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you for coming. Thank you, Tiana, for having me. And anytime, come in middle of the night. I'll do anything for you. Anything for you.
I'm blushing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Well done.